Well, hey. Sorry about the camera angle. I should have parked the truck the other way. I'm out at the river house. When I park it this way, I can only put the camera on this side and the light. It just makes me look like I'm sitting in the dark. So, I just propped her up on the steering wheel here. And I already did this video twice yesterday. And, not sure I liked it. I just don't think I'm getting my point across in the way that I want to get it across. You know? Like, I know what I want to say. And then when I say it and put it on the video, like, I don't know if that came out like I wanted it. So let's try it again. You ever come across somebody, perhaps you know somebody, and they're always like, well, yeah, I need you to pray for me. The devil's just really been getting after me this week. And they're just one of these people, it just always seems that they're blaming the devil for their problems. Like, oh man, the devil's really been after me this week. And sometimes Christians get into the bad habit of giving the devil more power than he actually has. So you made me a list here. Made a list for y'all of 3 things the devil can't do. He's not capable of. These are things that only God can do, not the devil. He can't do it. Number 1, omnipotence. The devil is not all powerful, which is what that means. God is all powerful. The devil only has the power that God grants him, that God lets him have. Omnipresent. The devil can't be everywhere. He can't just be here sitting beside me in this seat one minute and then in China messing with somebody the next minute. He can't. He can only be in one place at one time. He's a created being. He doesn't have, like I said, he doesn't have the power God has. The only power he's got is what God gives him. Number 3, omniscient. The devil don't know everything. He doesn't. God knows everything that happened. He knows everything that's going to happen. The devil don't know everything. It's another one of them things where the devil only knows what God allows him to know. So only God has these attributes. I don't even know what I wrote there. Oh, okay. I wrote it. My handwriting's terrible. 1 Peter 5:8, because I want to clear up, and we're 3 minutes in now, so I want to clear up any confusion we have. I'm not for one second trying to say that the devil's not after us, not trying to get us. If you're a Christian, there's not a lot he can do as far as taking you to hell, because, you know, you're saved. You're out of his jurisdiction, so to speak. There ain't nothing to do. You're under God's protection now. So, but if you're not saved, then yeah, he can get you to hell. But if you are saved, his goal is just to make you stumble, hurt your testimony, and try to get you to sin so that your relationship with God will suffer for it. So I'm not saying that the devil is not trying to, because the Bible says here, 1 Peter 5, 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So I'm not denying the fact that the devil is trying to get us, or at least his employees are trying to get us. Because like I said, the devil can't be everywhere at one time. So for you to say, well, the devil's really messing with me. The devil himself personally is probably not messing with you. He's probably got much more important things than to personally come deal with you. But that doesn't mean he ain't got people working for him that he can send out and do these things. The devil has, I call them employees. I mean, you can call them what you want. I like to refer to them as the devil's employees. And I'm not just talking about spirits. That's where we're going now, Mark 3:11, where it talks about, and unclean spirits, when they saw him, talking about Jesus, fell down before him and cried, saying, Thou art the Son of God. So just read through the Gospels by themselves, we can figure out that there's unclean spirits. And because, you know, when the devil got kicked out of heaven, he wasn't the only one that got kicked out. There were some people that were following him that they got kicked out too. So the devil's got demons. That's just the term we have for him, that we use for him. The devil's got his demons that are doing his work, since he can't be everywhere at one time. But I also say he's got his employees working for him too, because what does the Bible say? The wages of sin are death. And how do you get wages? By working for him. So if you're an unsaved person, you're a sinner, you're an employee of the devil. You're earning your wages, which are going to be death, if you don't, you know, repent and come to a saving faith in Christ. But you're an employee. And some of them know they are. Some of them don't. But nonetheless, the devil's going to use them to do his bidding. But the point is that we can't blame every single bad thing that happens to us on the devil. We got to sometimes turn the finger around and point it at us. Because sometimes it might be your fault. You might be saying, oh, the devil's really messing. Maybe it ain't the devil. Maybe it's just you. But we got to remember that sometimes God's going to chastise us if you're a follower of Christ. If you've been reconciled to God and saved. God said he would chastise us. Let me get there. Hebrews 12:6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Now there's a bunch of verses about this, but I'm just going to go with that one. If you're God's child, okay? I don't have children, but I know, I can look at how it's done, okay? I can look at other people that do have kids, or base my, entire logic here on just how my parents raised me. Your kid starts to do some things that you don't want them to do. You're going to discipline them, correct? I'm sure you do that if you have kids. But God's going to do the same thing with you. If you start straying, start doing getting into some things you ain't supposed to get into, God's going to blister your little rear end. So, the whole point I'm trying to get to here is that some people are quick to blame everything on the devil. Oh, the devil's just really getting at me this week. He's just... Now the Bible does say that temptation, that God doesn't tempt any man. So if you're feeling tempted, pretty safe to say that's the devil. And like I said, I'm not saying that the devil's not trying to get you to stumble. But if bad things are happening in your life, before you jump on the it's the devil's fault bandwagon, maybe you should examine yourself and go, well, maybe God is trying to get my attention. Maybe God's chastising in me. So let me examine myself and see if I have a sin that I haven't repented of, or see if I've got any new habit or something I've picked up that it's probably going to lead me into sin. and maybe I got some people on some relationships I'm in that are detrimental to my spiritual walk. Maybe I should cut them loose. Stuff like that. If we might do that to make sure, because if you're just going to go blame the devil, well, the devil's just messing with me. If you're just going to keep on doing that, then you're never going to look at yourself. I'm sorry about keep touching that. But if you just keep blaming the devil, you're not going to get fixed, are you? You're not going to go examine yourself. Let me just read this one. 1 Corinthians 11:31. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. So if you're just going to blame the devil for everything, instead of examining yourself to see if there's something in your life that God might be chastising you for, then you're never going to find the problem and address it, and it's just going to keep getting worse and worse until God has to do something to really get your attention, or you just drop off into apostasy. But that's not to say lose your faith, just get really backslid. But why get to that point though? Why get to the point where you're backslid? As the old preacher used to say, crippled so high crutches wouldn't help you. Why get to that point when, if you feel like, okay, there's some things going wrong here, it could be the devil, or it could be God chastising. I can't say that word. Chasing me. Is that it? Chastising me? But I'd probably start with self-examination before I just start blaming the devil. Because blaming the devil ain't going to clean you up. It ain't going to expose the problem if there is one. I'm not saying there is one, but whenever you lose your keys or you can't find your wallet, you look in the place where you always put it. You look in the same place first all the time before you start looking elsewhere. So if you get into a situation where your life ain't going so well and you're like, well, before I just start blaming the devil, let me examine myself. Let me look there first. Look there first all the time. Like you would look in the spot first for your keys. Let me look in my heart first and see if there's something going on in my life that would cause God to chastise me. Got it right that time. But, yeah, and then there wouldn't be so many people just blaming everything on the devil, which doesn't spiritually help them. I can blame my problems on somebody else all day, but if my self is the center of my problem, then blaming somebody else ain't going to solve my problem. It's just going to cover up the fact that I am the problem. So, yeah, I think I said it better in this video than I did the last two. But Christians should be faster to jump to this conclusion that it's maybe it's me, instead of jumping to it's the devil. It's the devil. And the more you do that, the more the better you'll get at discernment, which is a great thing. I wish more people would worry about their discernment. And then you'll get to the point where when something's happening, you'll be like, oh, I know what this is. Right off the bat. What is it? I already shut the Bible up now, but if we would judge ourselves, for if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. If you keep the oil change in your car and you do all the maintenance when it's supposed to be done, then you won't need a mechanic under the hood. And the same goes with your life. If you maintain your spiritual life, where you go in there and you do preventative maintenance on yourself, like, oh, this, I've been committing this sin, I need to repent of this. This relationship right here is not healthy to my relationship with God. You got to cut that out. Here's a habit I've been getting into. I need to get out of that habit because I know that's going to lead. If you would do the spiritual maintenance on yourself, then you won't have to worry about somebody coming up to you and pointing out some sin in your life. You can, like Barney Fife used to say, nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. That's today's video. I hope it made a lick of sense at all. Third time's a charm, so hopefully that one's better than the first two I made. But remember, if you like my podcast, this Friday I'll be putting out episode 7, I think. Something like that. And the first section, I changed the name from This Week in Heresy to That's Where You're Wrong. Changed that. And it's just a silly story from charismatics, because, you know, they're full of silly stories. But there's a charismatic story I saw on the internet. It's just funny. It's not nothing deep. I'm not going to get too deep into it just because it's just one of those things where you look at it and you go, yeah, nobody's falling for this. Except them, of course. But. And then the second segment is the Gospel of Forgiveness Mission Statement. So, because I myself wanted to know, like, what is the point of my ministry here? Sometimes I feel like I'm all over the place with the things I do. So I'm like, we're going to nail it down. I've got 3 things I put down in my mission statement, which I wrote down somewhere here. So I'm going to read off each one and then kind of, you know, explain it. So it was for my benefit too, not just, you know, to let everybody know, but it was also for my benefit, just so I can nail down, this is what I want to do with this ministry. So there you have it, this Friday. Till next time, take up your cross, carry on.